I'd like to introduce you all to Julia Feuell, who is a travel technology entrepreneur of some stature, let's say, and she's a managing director of Online Travel Training, which is the leading e-learning provider for the global travel trade. So when we say that Julia will give us an incredible global overview of the issues facing the travel and tourism industry, we really aren't joking here. She really has got an incredible insight. So welcome, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a great opportunity to talk to you all.
Good, thank you. So we just get going then, Julia?
Sure, absolutely.
Let's go for it then. Okay, so my first question to you is, how do you think the job market will change post-pandemic?
So you start with the big questions first, Pauline? Well, I mean, we all know that from the pandemic, the move to working from home has really been what's affected us all, and we've all had to get used to that very quickly and using technology, and the travel industry is absolutely no different in doing that, and we've had to get used to finding a space and making that work. So I believe that will continue. I'm not saying offices aren't going to continue. There might be a hybrid way of working a few days during the week at an office and working from home. But I think working from home will continue. And so then that brings in a whole new dynamic in terms of the way in which work is performed. And the kinds of people that work from home need to be quite self-disciplined, and they need to be able to get tasks done. And that then means, because you're working remotely, you could actually be working remotely from anywhere potentially in the globe. So, for example, we have recently hired a very expert marketeer from South Africa, and we've also hired in the same period someone from India who does our course production. So that isn't from the UK, but it doesn't mean to say also that people from the UK, we had a lady that's been working for us that's gone back to live and work in Lithuania. So, you know, I think the movement of people and where they wish to work and how they wish to work is all going to be, changing quite considerably.
Fantastic. So do you think, when you're talking about this, do you think that the digital nomad market will grow? As in, you know, I'm looking out the window today and it's Glasgow and it's sunny and it's really unusual, and this is probably actually a full-on summer. I know, exactly. So do you think there'll be a massive growth in the kind of digital nomad market for people like you say that are working from home but actually want to live in a different country?
Yes, I really do believe that's now that flexibility. I mean, we were always working towards flexible working anyway, I would say. And pre-pandemic, so in 2019, 30% of our members, which are mostly travel professionals, travel agencies and tour operators who are doing the courses, they worked from home. So they were already home workers. So home working has already been a thing in the travel industry. The last survey we did, it was 74%. So that has increased exponentially, and I think even more so. Obviously, as we went through 2020, we must have got to 100% at some point with all the lockdowns. So yes, it is absolutely a trend.
Thank you. So can I move on and talk to you a bit about like our own students, because I think that's probably the big thing that people are interested in today. Can I ask you, what type of specialisms can students focus on to make themselves more employable?
Yes, so first of all, I think there needs to be some sort of work around this whole nomad working, to use your term, and how you can, how to get the best from being self-disciplined and organising your work in that particular way. So I think that's going to be really important. But now I've forgotten the question. What was the question?
I was asking you about specialisms that students
Specialisms, yes. So easy ones, which people often neglect, are that if you speak a language, for example, you fluently, and that's your native language, and obviously English is your second language, well, you've immediately got a skill that perhaps you haven't realised, and that's really important. Perhaps you used to live in another country and you have a real passion for that country. Well, you could specialise in holidays to that country and sell those holidays, because passion will come through and you already know that particular destination really, really well without even having to go there. So that's another thing. Some people like to go and travel anyway, and so that travel experience needs to go on your CV. So all that travel knowledge that you might have if you have been somebody lucky enough to backpack around the world before this time, then I know students are younger perhaps, so they might not have had that opportunity, but you never know. And so that's a good one. Other ones are hobbies. So perhaps you love adventure, and so you do quite a few adventure sports or any other kinds of sports, or maybe you're more kind of events driven. You love weddings and events and honeymoons, and there's a whole sort of weddings market in travel. So travel isn't just one thing, it's a whole long tail of all sorts of specialisms. Maybe you're passionate about the environment and eco holidays. So, just think about where you as a student, where are your passions, and work with that, because you'll really enjoy work much more. And it will, even if you don't consider yourself a salesperson, you will be, because you'll just be passionate about what it is you like. And so I always think start from there.
No, that's really interesting, because what you're ultimately saying is each individual is unique, and they take their own uniqueness and kind of fit their career around that, rather than
why not?
The kind of bog standard. Can I just kind of go off piece slightly here and ask you a different question? Do you find when people apply for jobs and things, or when you kind of come across people who are interested in working in travel, do you feel they're good at sharing their passion for the travel industry?
Well, yes, because the one thing that unites all of us actually is our love of travel, and I think that really unites the industry across all kinds of barriers of anything, and it's wonderful to watch. In different exhibitions and conferences I've been to, there's such an eclectic mix of different nationalities and cultures and just people. But we're all united by our passion and our love for travel, and that always shines through. And in fact, I think our governments could do to looking at the travel industry as to how we all get along in that way. But yeah.
Thank you. Can I ask, you obviously are the director of the online travel training, and I've used it a lot over the years, and the courses are just fantastic. But people maybe aren't aware that our students can use these courses. Is that correct? They're all free online courses.
Yes, so it's how it works is the destinations, airlines, cruise companies, tour operators, they all put the content onto the courses, which is our platform. So we give them the opportunity to put their content there, and then they keep it up to date. So it's very current and is written by them, so it's also very authentic. We've got COVID statuses and everything on these particular courses, so they take the time and they pay OTT in order to do that, to present their information to the trade. And especially at the moment in COVID times, there's so much information that you need to have, and we say knowledge creates confidence and confidence delivers travel sales. So therefore it's free to anybody that wants to learn about the different products which the suppliers have, and they need you to learn that and keep up to date with the information, because the consumers are asking so many questions now, and we get that on webinars when we bring the different suppliers with the trade together that sells them.
And I found them, I've used them in the past for teaching like destination geography, and I found them incredible, because like you say, it's incredibly up to date, and it's written by the experts living in that destination. So, for me, thank you, because I've always used them, I've always found them incredibly good. But anyway, moving on. Are there any new skills that employers are going to need in a post-pandemic world, do you think?
New skills. I suppose I'll keep going back into the sort of soft skills alongside the digital skills, which is your ability to be self-motivated and organised enough to be able to work alone. And I think we might encounter some problems in coaching and getting people to be able to be independently working from home. So I think that hybrid mix of being able to mentor people probably is going to need to remain within an office type of setting before they're able to then move to a remote setting. But the goal will be probably for companies to be able to get someone to that stage. So just how we do that, I don't know. But I think it is kind of a personality, it is an upbringing. You're either organised or you're not organised, you're either passionate or you're not passionate. But I'm sure through colleges can shape digital skills, making sure people are confident with technology. Although I think young people can be teaching older people also about technology these days. Certainly my sons can. It's sort of bringing that all together. But it is a new world or a new way of working that's emerging, which is very different to how it's ever been. Although it was beginning, as I say, in 2019 in the travel industry. I mean, to have 30%, that's quite a large chunk of the industry working remotely then, but those people were already quite experienced and knowledgeable in their fields. So that's kind of the goal, and that's where you're heading towards. But I think that's also quite nice if you think of families and dynamics and hours of work and freedom to work where you wish. There's lots of positives to it. So we're going to have a whole new culture of the way work is going to be in the future. And when we look back, it will look really dated. This whole idea of us getting up at a certain time and all cramming into an office is going to be a thing of the past. But, well, not, as I say, it's going to be a hybrid-y thing, but anyway, it'll be completely different. But travel, of course, there's many different jobs. You've got a lot more mobile jobs. They're not all office jobs, are they? I don't want to pigeonhole everything into an office either. So I'm just talking on that aspect of it.
That's really interesting because, and Kenny, I'm sure you'll agree with me, that so much of the teaching that we do is kind of group-based, isn't it? And it's about this idea of teamwork. And now we're having to think, actually, they could be working individually, remotely. And it's probably that's a real quite a paradigm shift for me, that instead of them working so collaboratively, we're going to have to think about them working individually.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. But we have team meetings every single morning, which we never did in the office. I didn't have a meeting every morning with everyone. But you need to also have that connection remotely to manage remotely. And maybe there'll be some companies good at managing remotely and some won't be. And some people will feel left out. So there's going to be a whole range of topics on how to make sure you feel included, that you are included, that you're remembered and not forgotten, that if you need to ask something that you do, just ring somebody that can help you. That's your virtual mentor, which there'll be whole kind of new roles that will probably emerge surrounding the support that you need to give remote workers. There's already technology like Slack and WhatsApp and Zoom and Teams, and there's lots of collaborative technology anyway, but we all have to get used to it.
Okay, thank you. So can I ask you, Julia, what advice would you give to a student starting a course this September?
I suppose I would say just embrace and go with the flow with how everything is sort of evolving. And actually, it's a really positive time to be starting, because by the time you have gone through your course, the travel industry will be on the recovery mode, and any jobs that have been lost will be very quickly and rapidly brought back again, I would say. So, this pandemic has probably got another good year to run, and then after that, things will start to recover more so. I'm talking travel industry again, because we've been very disrupted again this year. And then moving into next year, we already know from cruise bookings are moving into 22 and even 23. And yesterday I spoke to Crystal Cruises and they were saying they were selling 2024. So talk about forward planning. I guess, some people are thinking get their holiday and then, get it in quick just in case. And I know that New York City State I was speaking to this week as well, or New York State, I should say, they've got so much travel demand that hotels are full, Airbnb is even full. And so the lady who does our marketing for the USA office that we have there, she was saying that her friends were trying to open up their spare rooms to Airbnb to capitalize on it all. So, once travel gets going again, there is going to be huge demand. So I think it's a great time to be learning now, get your skills, hone them well. And then also you're now really fresh to this whole new way of working. So you've got no bias, no baggage on how things were before. And actually employers love that because they want people, especially younger people, they tend to just go with it because they don't know any different. Whereas the older people are the ones with the change management aspect that have the difficulty trying to adjust and adapt and, I miss how it was before, or it wasn't like it was, or, it should be this way. and the kind of fight against it. So I think it's a good time.
Thank you. What can colleges do to make our students impress employers like yourself?
Well, I think one thing that I don't know is they do much of, which is a simple thing, is to get the students to video themselves. So just really talking about their passion for the industry, what they really, why they want to get into it, what they really would enjoy about it, what they've learned from their course, where they're hoping to take their career in the travel industry. So you just bring that human touch to it as well, and also to make sure that you are explaining to employers what your students are learning at your college, or so that they can truly understand what's being covered, because that doesn't always come across. And in CVs, you can't really get that across. And I know in an interview, the student should really say, but sometimes they're too nervous. They're a bit shy. And at the end of the day, I think we employ more on character and, sort of the way people are coming across. And as I say, that passion for the industry and any specialist knowledge that's coming through just from their own experience. And then, of course, we train people in the work that we do. So we might, that bit of actually what they've already known can be lost, which would be it's a shame. It could be a shame. So.
See, I take it if you're doing any kind of recruitment right now, you're doing this online. So is the whole process online?
Well, yes. I mean, it's been online for quite some time, and that even rhymes. Indeed, has got a very comprehensive job board. I mean, job boards have been around for a long time, and even the travel industry, Travel Weekly, they have job boards too. So everything does seem to go online. Do I think that's for the better? I mean, I've worked in recruitment for many, many years, a couple of decades, even before I sold New Frontiers. And I think it does. People can get lost in the system. Unfortunately, the system does algorithms on, if it reads your CV. So if it's over designed, then it might not pass through the system, for example. If it's not got certain keywords on it, then you're not picked up in a job search of the CVs, because employers can go in and just do a search on CVs. So that would be a shame. So sometimes you could be missed for work and think it must be me, or it must be my age, or I haven't got experience, when actually it's just the system that's not properly referencing it. But I'm not going to cover too much in recruitment, because I know you've got someone in recruitment a bit later on in the day who's probably more up to date in knowledge now, because I did sell in 2017. So but that was my take on it then. And that human, never underestimate the human aspect of coming across. But I think that if I was going to do some training in a college now, I would be brushing students up in remote interviewing, interviewing via Zoom, and how you come across, think about your background, think about, what you're saying, your presentation, what you're wearing, and all of that. So, yeah, we can't get away from digital these days. This is the new world that we're living in. Yeah,
you absolutely can. And can I ask you, just because I'm interested in this, how do you think students can best show passion? Because you've talked a lot about passion this morning, and you've said, make a video. Do you have any other ideas about ways they could display passion to you?
I think it's just like any human. You get them on their topic. If it's football, and then someone's off, who's passionate about football, you don't need to say be passionate about football. You just say, what do you think of whatever team that they support, and then they'll just be off they go. So it is igniting that and allowing people. So it's important also, because employers should bring that out, shouldn't they? They should say, oh, I see that you're you've been doing dancing for many years, tell me about dancing. And then all that passion will come up just about dancing. So for the travel industry, if you've traveled somewhere or used to live somewhere, what's it like to live in that country, and then they should naturally be that way, unless they're a bit depressed or they've got mental health problems. That's a different thing. But most people, usually when you get them on their topic, will be naturally upbeat about what they know, and will want to share it, especially once nerves have gone somewhat. But I know it's a difficult process, virtual, even face-to-face was difficult. Mind you, some people might find virtual easier. I don't know, maybe they might find face-to-face harder. We'll see, because they're young after all, and they're used to virtual.
They do, and like with my daughters, like they don't phone each other. What they do is they make really short videos and send them to each other, and just send them back and forward all day. And you're thinking, why don't you just phone? And then
Really?
you're just so old, you have no idea what you're talking about. But I know exactly what you're trying to say there, and which is they're confident when it comes to doing this type of thing. So we should be encouraging them, and that's something that we could possibly be doing in college, is working with them to create these types of videos where they have to talk for maybe a minute, displaying their passion for the travel industry. That could be really good practice for them.
Fantastic exercise, because the more technology that route that we go down in technology, the more we need humans. It's interesting, because it's humans that we trust. Technology is sort of throwing up all kinds of information and news, and unfortunately through the pandemic some of it has been very dark and actually not factual, and so it's hard to know what to trust. And so we're going through this mistrust of technology as much as we're embracing all the good bits of technology. So what's come through in all the research now is the travel consultants are really important in booking holidays, because they're the ones that know the destinations are open, shut, what the COVID protocol is. If you get stuck out there, it's the human you go to say, get me out of here, or try and get me out of here, or this has happened, what's going on. So that's quite interesting that is emerging. So you just need to make sure you polish up your customer service skills, I suppose, in whatever you're doing, because it's either customer service internally with your colleagues and your peers, or actually externally to clients.
Fantastic. Anyway, I'm just watching my big giant clock here, Julia, and thank you so much for answering all my questions. And I'm going to ask you the questions that the audience have asked, if that's okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, first one, I don't know, I'm assuming you can see this, Julia, on your screen as well, and it's, would you prefer your employees to work in an office?
For OTT, no, we've actually now closed our office and we're working fully remotely, but we are a global company now. So it's easy. The hybrid side is harder, actually, to have everybody working remotely and coming in from wherever they are located, and having group meetings in that way. Obviously, sorting out time zones can sometimes be challenging. Works perfectly well for us. But we are still having meetings as teams, team training, team sessions, socializing. So we're moving forward in that kind of way, rather than the traditional setup of having a desk and that's what you always come to. So we will just collaborate and meet in different settings. So for OTT, no more office.
Thank you very much. Okay, do you foresee, I'm going to have to move myself out the way here, I can't quite see all that. Do you foresee the industry being removed from our high streets as technology and flexibility to work from home advances? Will travel agents be able to sustain themselves in that way?
So it's a sort of a double question there. I could see that travel agencies may end up being removed from the high street and moving, because that trend was already beginning. But I do think that they can sustain themselves, but they're probably going to need to reinvent the model. I think consumers, people that are booking holidays, need to recognise more so their expertise in finding and curating the best holidays, and they should simply pay for that. I mean, now you've got the internet and you've got so much choice and everything, to have someone really understand what you're looking for, and then to be able to serve it up to you and then book it, and it's all packaged properly, and it's booked correctly and bonded, and then I can contact that person anytime I need to. I think consumers really should start to pay for that as a service, as well as the agents. They get commission on the suppliers, but actually I think they need to value their professional services more and all the knowledge that they have. And I don't see that happening. Well, it is happening a little bit in some quarters, but not as much as perhaps it could do. So if I was setting up a travel agency, that's what I would do.
Because funnily enough, I was reading about that. I don't know if it was in America, I was reading about it, and they charge, I think, $20 for a consultation, and then that's taken off the booking if they do book with the travel agent. And I remember thinking, what a fantastic idea that was.
Yeah, absolutely. We should value all the knowledge and experience and skills in the industry, and sometimes it's just the business model has sort of got to be perhaps a bit disrupted. especially the way commission systems, and there's IATA has brought in a whole new system, NDC, and that's disrupted the GDSs, and so things are changing. So who knows, but that human factor of travel will always remain, because
and what's always struck me as well, and always struck me strange, is it must be one of the few industries or the few kind of jobs where someone can come in, take all your advice, and then just go book it on the internet. And I think you're right. I think they've been too quick to devalue themselves, and I think it would be really good in the future, and maybe the pandemic will do them a favour in terms of making people very aware of the importance of really up-to-date and accurate travel advice.
Yes.
Fingers crossed on that one, eh?
Absolutely.
Sorry. How would students get their video to you? Would they put a link on their CV?
Yes, I can see that creating a website is going to really be more that. So a CV is now getting more and more dated, isn't it? You know, sort of a one document. If you like, LinkedIn is probably as near to a CV as you're going to find. And LinkedIn is a very good tool and does recruitment on its own as well. So I think LinkedIn is very good. People can easily create their own website now, all about them, which sounds a bit narcissistic, but that's what
I'm horrified you're saying that, because I've actually got one. Mine's just, I think it's on a platform called about.me, and it is about me.
Well, there you go then. I'm not sure, because I'm not up to date on how that would be integrated. I think you still at the moment need a CV to submit to the job search engines, but you could probably ask CNN about that later. I think Barbara is talking, so she could do that. Yes, you could embed a link into the CV, but then again, just be careful, maybe check with Barbara that by putting a link on the CV, that's not going to then upset parsing that CV through the system.
That's just what I was thinking. If there's a link in there that might blow the ATS mind, then it could, and I'll take a note to ask that to Barbara when I speak to her later on.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, Julia, can I just take a wee moment to say thank you so much for doing this for us today? I can't begin to stress how invaluable it is to speak to someone of your stature, because we're all kind of beavering away in our classrooms and thinking that we're up to date and know stuff. And it is just so useful to get an insight like this and think, either, yep, I'm on the right lines and I'm happy with where I'm going, or, I maybe need to kind of pivot and do a wee bit more kind of with digital literacy or whatever. So it is incredibly helpful for us to kind of hear your perspective. So thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure. And if anybody wants to talk to me directly, I'm very happy to have a chat as well with anyone that needs any help.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And have a good day, Julia. You're off the hook now.
Thanks, Julia. Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.